Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to do this nail art, which is actually a nail art that I already sort of did years ago. Back in March 2013, which is a little over 2 years ago now. Well, a few months, more than 2 years ago now, really. In any case, it's nail art inspired by the song Misty Blue by Blue Tears. And yeah, basically back then I still used acrylic paints to paint stuff on my nails. Well, I used nail polish as base, of course, but yeah, just a chip, and the Lighthouse was back then was done in acrylic paint. Also, I still had square nails instead of pointy nails. And also I still had a really old camera. I didn't even yet own the camera that I'm filming this with right now. So yeah, basically the photos weren't all that good. And also I didn't yet film it back then, so it's not on YouTube. So yeah, basically it seemed like a good idea to just try it again, because I do hope I've gotten better at doing nail art by now. Even though that actually was the first nail art I ever did that actually turned out as I planned, rather than, you know, just sort of okay. So yeah. In any case, yeah, it seemed like a good idea to just try it again. Also, I just, you know, felt like doing it. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start out with painting about half of my nail, well, not half, like 2/3 or something, in blue. And I'm using this color by Near Color. And I finally figured out that my camera can actually autofocus while filming. I didn't know that before for 2 years, but yeah, I know now. So yeah, I'm just going to use this one. This is Pier 17. And as you can see, it's really nice shimmery blue nail polish. I know that the night sky isn't usually shimmery, but you know, I just like it. So yeah, I'm just carefully going to apply that to the start of my nail, and basically I'm just sort of dragging it out downwards so that it doesn't just randomly end, but sort of, you know, fades away like this. So just like there isn't a really thick border in the end. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to put another color on the tip, so it's not very useful to do the entire nail in blue, because it'll make just, you know, it will make drying just last or take a whole lot longer. So yeah, I'm going to apply 2 layers of it, because as you can see now, maybe it's still a little bit see-through. The camera does sort of hide it, but it is still see-through, and I do want it to be opaque. So I'm just going to let this dry and then apply a second layer. And then it's time for the second layer, which is also just going to be a thin layer. And then it's time to start on the water, for which I'm going to use 3 different nail polishes. I'm going to start off with Sexy in the City by China Glaze. And then I'm going to add some Blue Vogue by Rimmel. And I'll finish it off with Et Voila French Manicure by Miss Sporty. So yeah, basically I'm just going to put a little bit of the sort of sheer blue one by China Glaze on it first. And I'm putting sort of a thick layer on top of it. Or, you know, on the nail. And then I'm just going to put some random dots of Blue Vogue on it. And then I'm just going to use a sponge to sort of bring it all together. Don't worry, as you can see a little bit of the nail tip shining through, because we're going to go back later and add some more. But then I'm just going to use the French Manicure nail polish, which is just a sort of sheer white nail polish, and I'm going to add that on top of all of that else, all of that other stuff. And it just sort of, as you can see, puts a layer on top of it, and then it looks like this. Then it's time to add some mossy green rocks, and I'm going to start out with Ciao Olivero by Essence, which I originally bought because I think it's just a very not pretty color. Don't want to say ugly, but yeah. But I do really like it for some reason. And just going to apply it to a sponge and then carefully put it onto the nail. Just sort of in a rock shape, I guess. The sort of rocks that lay next to water. And then I'm going to put a little bit of Rise and Shine by Sinful Colors on the same sponge, but on a different part of the sponge, obviously. If you have a color that's sort of like this but darker, they could use that, but this is the only dark green one that I have that doesn't have really large glitters, and because I want to use it for shading, it's better if it doesn't have glitters, because usually glitters, shades don't glitter, so yeah. But I'm just sort of dabbing it over the other color. And that's it. Okay, I've already started on making a setting sun. I've started out with Flashy Pumpkin by Essence. Just an orange color. Then I'm going to add a layer on top of that with Let's Meet by Sinful Colors. And then I'm going to add some sort of gold glitter with, what's your name? My Fortune Cookie by Essence. So I'm just putting some on a piece of paper. And then I'm just going to use a small detail brush this time, simply because I haven't used it in a while. And just put it on top of there. And I want it to be, smooth and not bumpy or anything, so I am adding quite a bit of it. And that's it. And now I've already started making a bit of stripes around it with the gold glitter nail polish. And just sort of dabbing it straight around the sun. I didn't want cliche like sunshine lines, like the children's painting sort of ones. I just want it to be a little bit of glowy. I've started with the base of the Lighthouse using White Tip by Sally Hansen. And yeah, just basically I'm using a long brush now because I think it's easier to work with, but if you prefer a short brush then you can just use that. Then I'm going to add the red stripes using this nail polish by Ethos, which is a Dutch drugstore, and I don't think they sell it anywhere abroad, but any red nail polish will do. This is a sort of sheer-ish, not really sheer, but not really opaque either one, which just, I don't know, I think it works well for this. So I'm just going to add bright red stripes on it. And at this point it looks more like a piece of candy than a lighthouse, but we'll fix that later. And now I'm working on adding an outline. I'm using just a black nail polish by Playboy. But you can use any black nail polish you want. I'm just really carefully adding an outline. And yeah, I think this is the most difficult part about any nail art design. And what helps me is to just add a really tiny amount each time. Just because it's better to have to go back a few times to get the line to be thick enough. Than to end up with a really thick black line that's not supposed to be there. It's easier to add something than to remove it, basically. Also adding a tiny little doorway here. And just some windows. And I'm just working on a tiny little sort of dome on top of the lighthouse where the lamp is in. So I started out making a dot, then made two lines like this. Now I'm just making one other line in the exact center of it. And that's almost it for the lighthouse. And now I'm working on the light, for which I'm just using the same one that I used for the Rays of Sunlight, which is My Fortune Cookie by Essence. And I'm just using this brush, and the reason why I did the black stripes first and then added the gold inside of it is because it's supposed to be light. And you know, that's glowy, so yeah, I just think it looks more realistic. And I'm just working on the bundle of light that shines over the sea or ocean or whatever. Just need a little bit more nail polish. Just dabbing it on a piece of paper as always. And then I'll just fill it in. Which is basically the easiest part of this entire nail art. And I just randomly decided that I wanted to do some shading, so I already did some shading on the red parts using Mary Berry by China Glaze, which is this one. And let me just close that, yeah. And then I'm just going to use this grey one, grey silverish one, by OPI, which is called I Don't Give a Rotterdam, for the white parts. And I'm just really carefully just using the same brush. Going to dab a little bit decide where I want the shading to be. And it just makes the lighthouse look a little bit more realistic and a little bit less, you know, too perfect. So yeah. Okay, I've already started on painting a sort of a boat. You can't really see it against the sun, but yeah. I started out with simple colors in Vacation Time. And it's the same long brush. So yeah, now it's time to add a little bit of shading. I'm using Park Avenue by New York Color for that. Which is just sort of a darker shade than the other one. And, you know, same as with the other thing, with Lighthouse, I'm just going to carefully do a little bit of shading. Hopefully in focus. Yep. And just put the shading at the most logical spot, considering it's in front of the sun. Okay. Now I'm just doing the outlines of the boat using the same black Playboy nail polish. I always think it's kind of weird that brands don't think like, hey, I'm making a black nail polish, let's not make the letters black. Because no one can actually read what it says. But yeah. Just really carefully making some lines. And for the bottom part I'm just sort of dabbing it on. Just to hint that there's like some kind of edge there, but you know, it's mostly underneath the water, so yeah, sort of shading or reflection in the water, I guess. And like that. And I want a little bit more detail because compared to the lighthouse it's sort of undetailed. So I'm also going to make a little bit of a sail. Sort of looks like one of those boats that, you know, children play with in bathtubs. Really like basic shape of a boat. But yeah. I think I'm just going to add a little bit more black on it just to give it a little bit more hint of detail. You probably already saw it just now, but what I also did was to just, the light from the lighthouse, I let it just go on this nail and a little bit on this nail in the glitter. Which just completes the whole landscape. A matte top coat seems like a good idea for this nail art, however my only matte top coat doesn't actually dry matte anymore. It was a really good one, check Matte by Miss Sporty. But it's gotten really watery and sort of weird, but yeah, I hope it still sort of works. Well, because it's so watery and I do want this nail art to last for a while, I am going to apply 2 layers of it. Just so it'll be a little bit stronger. So this is the finished nail art. The matte top coat did dry more matte than I, you know, thought it would. So yeah, that's good. I do know that I really need to buy a new matte top coat because, you know, it's sort of It's more of a satin finish than a matte finish, I'm afraid, but yeah. But come to think of it, that bottle is like 2 or 3 years old already, so it's not really strange that it's not really good anymore. So yeah, I'm probably just going to buy the same one again. They still sell it, so that's good. Yeah, in any case, yeah, difficult talking. In any case, yeah. So this is finished nail art. I think it turned out pretty nice, if I may say so myself. Yeah. I hope you like it too. I hope you at least enjoyed watching this. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time. Bye! Okay, basically just going to do one sort of theme per nail. And I'm sort of doing simplified themes because, well, my nail art